Netflix, you don't need cable. Hop on YouTube, welcome to the hood table, where we chop up local and global events vocally. You don't really wanna miss out on these conversations. Just joke a little, laugh a little, get that wine in your system, fill your glass a little. Expose current events, talk trash a little. You never know, these opinions might clash a little. They addicted to the content, got them binge watching. You don't like it, then you want invited. Bet your friends watching in the house or in your job parking lot before you clocking. They don't wanna miss a second of this HT content. Everybody think they got something to say, so it's an open invitation, bring it to the table. But if you come whack, just know we ain't buying in. We gon' probably turn your back and tell you sorry, try again, Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable. Yeah, welcome to the hood table. You don't need Netflix, you don't need cable.
Hey, what up, everybody? How y'all doing? Come on in, come on in. Please make sure you like and share the video. Subscribe to the Hood Table if you happen to be new here. And also, as always, feel free to donate to the commentary. $sign the Hood Table 402 is the Cash App, or you can hit that super chat button. Please and thank you very much. And feel free to become a member of the Hood Table. Thank you so very much. Now, shout out to the first one who dropped down in the chat, my girl Mel. What up, Mel? She said, hey, I was away from my desk yesterday when you came on, so I missed it, but I am in position today. Y'all better get in position today. This is going to be probably a little longer live than the last, 7, 8 reviews? No, 7, because we're on day 8. Child, it was a lot today said. You said how many? Hey, Carrie Boo. You said how many days? Well, they're first of all, they have a lot of people to put on the stand. Tomorrow, they're going to try to put 5 people on the stand, including Kid Cudi. And I definitely want to hear from Kid Cudi. That's one testimony or interview that I've been waiting for, anxious for. But I'm not totally sure, Carrie. I'm not totally sure. It could be weeks, child. Maybe 3 weeks. I'm not sure, honey. But yeah, it's a lot going on. But yeah, so come on in, you guys. Please and thank you so much for joining us today. You say, yes, it's a lot. And so far, oh gosh, I would have to go through my list and go through my notes to give you a total of all the people so far. But I think off the top of my head, I want to say off the top of my head, I think maybe 8 or 9 people have already testified. Let's see, Cassie, her mom, the ex-assistant, the homegirl, the exotic dancer, the expert today. Who else was it? See, I can't even think off the top of my head. There's like 8 or 9 people that's already been on the stand. So, yeah, they said if they get all 5 on the stand in this type of high profile case, if they get 5 people on the stand tomorrow, they said they're going to set a record. This ain't no regular case. It ain't no regular trial. So normal situation, they can probably get 5 people or more on the stand in a day. But they said they would definitely set a record for this type of high profile case. So we shall see. What up, Sugar Mama? Hey, Patsy B. How y'all doing? Come on in. Come on in. You said, hello, Hood Tail. I've been waiting on you. Been here since you began covering this. Just be in the bushes. But have to drop down and say, hey, thank you. Yes, drop down and get your equal on, girl. What up, Detach? How you doing? Yes, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Make sure you guys like and share the video on your way in, please, and thank you. But yes, we got a lot to get into, y'all. So let me start. I got my water here because when I be talking for a long time, my throat gets dry. So I got my water here. So we can try to get through this. I'm gonna try to get through this as fairly quickly as I can, because one of the people who was on the stand today was an expert psychologist who deals with domestic violence. And she was on there for quite some time. So yes, we're going to get into these 3 people that was on the stand today. Now, so far, what we have learned, what we have heard during the trial. Of course, for one, we have heard a lot about Diddy and Cassie's commercial sex activities. And I put that in quotes, commercial, because a lot of the people they were having sex for received money. Okay. So they call it commercial, aka prostitution, right? It involved a lot of sex, a lot of lube, a lot of baby oil, a lot of drugs, a lot of liquor, and video recording. We also heard how Diddy had threatened Cassie's mother and father. He threatened to release a sex tape with Cassie on it. He threatened to make it public unless they paid him $20,000. And the mother, out of fear and concern for her daughter, they took out a home equity loan to pay him. Now, even though the money was returned a few days later, that is considered extortion, blackmail, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so her testimony was pretty significant that the defense didn't even attempt to cross-examine her. The prosecution talked to her, and that was it. So she wasn't even on the stand that long because they said that if the defense would have cross-examined her, they probably would have opened a whole can of worms with cross-examination. They would have to go further into the letter or the emails that Cassie had written and the things that he had threatened her with and her family. They would just have to reinforce her testimony, in the jury's mind, and may have opened her up to even more questions by the prosecution because she was only on the stand for about 15, 20 minutes. So it was a relatively brief time out of all the people so far. I think she was on the stand the least amount of time, but they also put her on the stand because they needed her to confirm that Diddy did in fact date her daughter and that she did see less and less of her daughter once she moved out to LA and was living with him, throughout that time. So that's what that was about. And then, the lawyers for Diddy, they tried to prevent Cassie's mother from testifying today. Yeah, they did. The other day, they tried to prevent her from testifying about the $20,000 that, she sent to Diddy because he sent it back a few days later. So they was trying to throw that out like, that don't matter. Yeah, you sent him the $20,000, but he gave it back. That's like somebody robbing you or something or holding a gun to your head and saying, give me your school money, give me your J's off your feet. And then they come back 2 days later, here you go, my bad. Like, just because they gave it back? Like, what the? But yeah. And then they said, and on top of that, Cassie and Diddy were dating just weeks later. She broke up with him. And then she was dating him for a few weeks later. So again, they tried to get, her not able to testify on that $20,000. They said it was unfair because it illustrated the huge difference in finances. And that's one thing I promise you. When I first heard that the other day from the mama, when I first heard that, I'm like, what kind of fucking person would ask this family who, yeah, Cassie, she had some hits back in the day, but Diddy is paying all her bills and paying for her apartment and all that shit and supplying her with drugs and prostitutes. Like, she probably didn't have no money to pay for her family or take care of her family like a lot of celebrities who are still out there or who has reached like a certain level in their success where even if they're not working no more, they can still take care of their family. So you rich as fuck and you basically holding this videotape over Cassie's head and to her parents and demanded $20,000. They had to take out a home equity loan. If somebody did that to me right now, I would have to take out a loan. I don't have $20,000 in the bank. I wish I did. I'm just keeping it hood and keeping it funky. Everybody don't have $20,000 just sitting around in the bank. A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. So I thought that was really fucked up. And so did a lot of people. I'm like, damn, man, what the fuck? Yes, member. Shout out to Mel member for 58 months. Hey, that's what, I appreciate you, love. All the time. Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah, that was foul as fuck. You worth millions. That's foul as fuck. That's evil. That's evil. Somebody's parents. Man, see, Diddy lucky he's still walking around alive, y'all. Diddy lucky. He ain't met that one family. He ain't met them one family members. He's very lucky. Very lucky. Child. You said 200 grand in the man, you know what I'm talking about? Shoot, some people don't have no money in the bank. Shoot, and if they do, they got enough. You know, just a little bit for a rainy day. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't gonna sit here and pretend like I'm rich because I definitely ain't. Shoot. I'm just like, man, that's messed up. But anyway, moving right along. So after Cassie's mother took the stand yesterday, the male exotic dancer was up next. And he was on the stand. I think he was on the stand for a little while. But one thing that they were talking about also was, and then the former assistant, of course, David was up there too. But the former assistant of Diddy's, you know, David, he had got a little emotional yesterday. I had showed a picture of him wiping his tears. They had to get him some tissue, you know, to napkins to wipe his tear. And he was getting emotional, you know, recollecting everything that he had been through working for Diddy. But yeah, he worked for Bad Boys. He was employee, and he was testifying, and he testified things that he had witnessed, things that he was required to do to set up the so-called freak-offs. And per David, when he was first interviewed, now this is when he was first interviewed for the position, he was told, and I'm sure probably other employees was probably told the same thing, but he was told that this is Diddy's kingdom. We're all here to serve in it. So they let him know fairly soon when he was being interviewed that you're here to serve and you're here to protect his image. That's what they told him. Yes. And he was told that by the vice president of human resources. Imagine the vice president telling you, this is Diddy's kingdom. We're here to serve and protect. Like he's the damn president, right? Damn. But anyway, in 2007, Diddy's ex-personal assistant, David James, had wrapped up his testimony, but he had worked for him in 2007 for a couple of years. Excuse me. But anyway, they say he had got emotional recalling that exchange on the first day. He was interviewing for the job. I don't know why that made him get so emotional. Maybe because he probably thought back and was like, damn, should I have really took that job? But it lasted about 2 years. He had basically alleged that he had saw an attack on a personal chef. Also drugs every day that he had to get for Diddy. He also had to buy drugs and stuff with his own personal credit card. He said that he would get paid back, but he still had to, you know, like Diddy wouldn't. Okay, this is one thing that people was talking about. People were saying stuff like, I would think people would know that any type of celebrity that's on drugs or addicted to drugs, they're not going to go purchase the drugs themselves. They're not going to go to a drug dealer themselves. They're not going to buy, you know, all this kind of paraphernalia and things like that themselves, that they always have people buy it for them. Now, I might be slow or dumb. I never thought of it that way. I really never have. Yeah, he snotted and cried for about 5 minutes, child. You said he still might meet somebody's sister. Child, you know what? But I never thought of it that way. But it makes sense. And I don't know why I didn't think of it that way, that he had all these people out there buying his drugs for him. I just don't think that way because, you know, they're rich. They got money. They can do whatever the fuck they want, buy whatever the fuck they want. Shit, I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, he talked about how he was required to set up like the hotel rooms with about 40 different skincare products, thousands of dollars in cash, 25, you know what the cash was for. That was for the prostitutes. 25 to 30 different pill bottles. He also testified that he once walked in on a freak off and he remembered that obtaining and distributing narcotics Now, keep that in mind. Of all the things that they are trying to get Diddy for, it's a lot of illegal activities that's been going on. The only thing that they are not trying to get Diddy for is the abuse. Why? Because the abuse, domestic violence, you might get a couple of years. You know what I'm saying? But all the rest of this shit, that's why a lot of people's like, why they keep bringing up the abuse at the same time. But the coercion, the prostitution, the threats, the blackmail, the extortion. It's a lot of different things. And tomorrow, Kid Cudi is supposed to get on the stand and talk about the arson. So it's a lot of shit that people witnessed who was in his circle and never spoke up until now. Besides all the rumors that we heard in the street. But basically, the federal prosecutors are still trying to prove that Diddy's violence and the coercion with Cassie, the freak offs, the male escorts, the prosecution, that's the main thing that they're focusing on right now. That's the main thing they're focusing on right now. So if you really weed out certain things in the testimonies of these people, it all leads back to the coercion. Keeping people high, keeping people drugs up. And then they also talk about, allegedly, there was some type of product in the baby oil. I don't know. And they also alleging that he was using things like, like the stuff that they would like give to dental patients, to make them like laughing gas, some shit like that. So, okay, anyway, moving right along. They also did speak to one of the escorts' name was the Punisher. And they asked him, I really wanted to know why they call him the Punisher. Now, I can imagine the real reason why they called that escort the Punisher. But what he had to say on the stand was because when he used to play basketball out there on the street, I guess he would punish other opposing teams or something. And I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, that ain't what the fuck that name mean. Come on now. You ain't going to use no street basketball name when you become a prostitute or an escort or, a sex worker. Come on now. But, he couldn't say the real that I'll be punishing that. You know what? He couldn't say that. You said, we already know. Come on now. They be giving them nicknames. Anyway. So let's get into this very long transcript for the day. Anyway, warning, get your water, get your snacks, because it was a long day on the stand today. So we got a lot to read through. Again, make sure you like and share the video on your way in, please, and thank you very much. And feel free to donate to the Cash App. Now, before the jewelry came in this morning, the judge said there's a defense letter about Dr. Hughes preserves your objections, Mrs. Shapiro. But the defense letter is not in the docket. While after, so they showed us, they didn't show us the docket, but they, the people in the courtroom. But basically, there's a few things. I got a few pictures to show y'all as well. And I got some paperwork that was admitted as well. So I'm going to show you that throughout. I'm going to show you different pictures of different things that the press released. Okay. So the judge said when Dr. Hughes is on the stand, I'm sure Mr. Bach can raise that in the cross regarding, basically the objections or the defense said something wasn't on the docket. So here we go. The judge, what about these text messages involving Cassie and buying drugs in Boston? Cassie's attorney said, we think it's irrelevant, but if they redacted it, it's not hearsay that she was in Boston and on her own. I think that's why Mr. Agnifilio, which is Diddy's attorney, wants it in. The judge, I'll think about it. Cassie's attorney said, we are concerned that Mrs. Porter's death, which is Kim, which is, Diddy's ex, his baby's mother's, ex, that her death may be used to build sympathy for Diddy and lead George to believe that he is convicted. His children may, and then the judge just stopped it. I'll think about it. As to Mr. Cuddy, the defense is concerned about hearsay. Cassie's attorney said Mr. Cuddy will not be testifying today. The judge was like, did I miss that? Because he was supposed to testify today. But now we heard that he's going to testify tomorrow. They said we emailed him at 10:45 p.m. That is not on the record. Why not? No need to take a week to redact that. So the judge said, please get the witness, Mr. Gannon. Check on the jury. Let's get this shit rolling, basically. Welcome back, Mr. Gannon. Jury enters. I'm just reading the transcript, okay? Cassie's attorney said, Mr. Gannon, let's continue with items you seized on Star Island. What is this? High heels and sex items in the master closet. And I'm going to show you a picture of that. And hey, everybody, come on in. Come on in. Make sure you like and share the video. So this is one of the pictures that they were showing. This is one of the pictures that was showing. Let me take the banner down. And everybody is like so disturbed. A lot of this shit is disturbing, but you see the little ducks? Do you see that little duck? Everybody's like, what the fuck is the little ducky for? Did they stick that motherfucker where the moon don't shine? Like, why is there a little ducky in there with all that lubricant? Do you see that Astroglide? They said he had crates and crates and crates and crates and crates of Astroglide. And you know what Astroglide is? It's a lubricant. A lot of people use that for the back door, but you can use it also for the front too, because it keeps you lubricated. And I guess if you're having these freak offs for, 10 hours to 4 days, you might need that lubricated. We talked about that the other day, how a woman can become very dry down there. And also it can be painful if she is having sex for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, days on end. That's why them people out there walking the street, walking the beat, they gotta, they probably keep lube in their damn purse, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, what's up with the fucking rubber ducky? Like, if y'all got an answer for me, please let me know. What up, Doe Noble? How you doing? Yes, freezer meat. Freezer meat. Lord have mercy. Hey, Miss Ray, how you doing, love? But yeah, okay. I don't know what the damn ducky is. But anyway, it was high heels and other things in there as well. But so then Cassie's attorney said, what's this? 3 cell phones found in one of the booths. Displayed a Gucci bag for the jewelry. So they displayed the Gucci bag for the jewelry. It was a white plastic bottle. It contained some liquid residue of meth and liquid MDMA. And y'all do know what MDMA is, right? I did discuss that the other day. But it's like meth. It's meth. That's basically what it is. And it's like they have it in pills, they have it in pill form, they have it in powder form, they have it, and then it's like ecstasy and Molly. It's part of the meth family, but it's mainly like ecstasy, Molly's, in that family. But I ain't never took ecstasy or Molly, but they say it can really make you aroused, it can really make you high, it can really make you, out of body. You have out of body experiences, different things like that. Again, I never took it before. I'm just going off what I read and what I hear. So they said these pills were found with a Tesla imprint on them. These have the active ingredients of Xanax. This $100 bill had residue of cocaine. Mr. Gannon, what's this? A dark wood box with the word Puffy on the top. And let me get this picture off of here. How do you know that this is the Astroglide and the baby oil that you seized? How many bottles of each? 31 bottles of Astroglide, 25 bottles of baby oil. Any other cell phones found? Yes. Was a gun found in his suitcase? Yes, a .45. They hold the bullets up for the jury. No further questions. The judge, cross. All right, Diddy's attorney. They said the day of the search, you knew that Diddy was leaving the country with his twin dollars. Objection, sidebar. Diddy's attorney, Gallegos, In planning the search, you knew that none of the targets of the investigation would be there? Objection. Overruled. This plan was to have him not there, but we had contingencies. What type of vehicles did you use? Armored vehicles? And a boat? Come in by land and by sea? It's common practice. 80 or 90 agents? Not at all the same time. You found 6 people and kept them in handcuffs for an hour. Remember that? Some of them was his kids. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. They just said, no, ma'am. There was only one individual who wasn't happy with us and wasn't cooperating, so we kept him in handcuffs longer. Mm-hmm. They said they had handcuffs his son or his kids. I couldn't remember which one, but I knew it was one of them, one of his kids. There was a music studio in the guest house, right? Do you recognize this? Yes, ma'am. It's the studio. Move to admit. That was Diddy's attorney, by the way. Hold on, slide. I'm scrolling down. Okay, so Gallegos, Diddy's attorney. The gun was wrapped in a towel. It didn't look like how you displayed it in the jewelry yesterday, right? Yes, ma'am. Did you find any photos of Diddy with these firearms? We did not. Do you agree that handguns metal is easier to get fingerprints than maybe another type of device? Can't say if it's easier, but it can be done. Can you get prints off of a gun easier when it's inside? I think so. At HSI, you have Diddy's DNA, right? I don't know. When he was arrested, the government took DNA swab, right? I don't know. Hold up the Gucci bag. Diddy's attorney. The drugs were in this bag and in the puffy box, right? Yes. Your Honor, I am going to introduce a sealed exhibit with the help of IT. May I approach the witness? That's Diddy's attorney. And the judge said yes. The deputy, we may proceed. Now, Cassie's attorney says cut off the screens. Can't see the exhibit. Whatever it was, they didn't want everybody to see. So Diddy's attorney says, please don't say the names of the people in this photograph other than my client. Don't talk about it. Cassie's attorney, may we confer with counsel? Judge, yes, you may. Let me get a sip of water. Every time I see that freezer meat, I was gagging on that shit the other day, by the way. Okay, the deputy say we may take the sealed exhibit down. Diddy's attorney, Agent Gannon, you live in Florida. Don't many people have guns in their homes there? I think a lot of people, that's that stand their ground. Yeah, they probably do. That's me, y'all. But anyway, Cassie's attorney says, objection. Judge, rephrase. Okay, do you have guns in your home? Yes. No further questions. The judge said, redirect. Cassie's attorney said, nope. The judge says, next government witness. Okay, this is where it gets really lengthy, you guys. They called to the stand clinical expert psychologist, Dr. Hughes. She's a clinical and forensic psychology. That's her profession, her expertise. She also says she treated people who were in World War II, because Cassie's attorney said, Dr. Don Hughes, what is your profession? Clinical and forensic psychology. I treated people who were in World War II, which was such an honor. Okay. Now, just so you know, when they do these type of when they put these type of experts on the stand who are in this profession, just to let you know, they deal with a lot of domestic violence cases. And they also, when they put them on the stand, they make sure to not allow them to know too much about the case. So the attorneys purposely, they don't provide them much information before they put them on the stand. They do that because they don't want them to be biased. So therefore she didn't know too much about the stand. But yeah, these type of professionals are very critical to cases like DV, child abuse, etc. And by the way, she was paid for her services. The prosecution paid her $6,000. Now, moving right along. So, Cassie's attorney, how many times have you testified in court? About 60 or 65. We offer Dr. Hughes as an expert. Defense, no objection. Cassie's attorney, what do you do? What do you anticipate covering? Why victims stay, memory. Have you been retained by the government? Yes. What is your hourly rate? $600, $6,000 for the day in court. $600 an hour or $6,000 for a day in court. They did say she was paid $6,000. Okay, so why do victims stay? There are psychological bonds and the psychological consequences of the abuse. What are the levels of fear? It ranges from physical violence to butterflies. Violence doesn't have to happen all the time. What is psychological violence? Intimidation, throwing things, telling you what you can do, telling you where you can go. Objection from Diddy's attorney. Judge, hold on. I'm going to strike that last answer. Cassie's attorney. What can be the role of sexual abuse? It puts the victim in significant psychological fear. Why does it prevent leaving? Shame, degradation. They don't want to think about it. What is an emotional abuse? Putting down your partner, feeling like a piece of crap. What about financial dependence? Because we know that Diddy was taking care of her, providing her, paying for her apartment, car, everything. The abusers control housing and transportation. Some abuse is like taking away your laptop. Objection. The judge sustained. They said there's been a lot of objections this entire trial, like way more than people are normally used to hearing. But anywho, Cassie's attorney, are you familiar with love bombing? That honeymoon phase. The abuser shows her gifts and affection to get her back. Does the attempt to leave happen over time? Yes, it takes multiple attempts. Which is the most common coping mechanism? Trying to work it out because of the trauma bond. You don't want to lose your partner. Personal coping mechanisms? How does placating or appeasing work? We're trying to avoid abuse. What is minimization? The victim says, maybe they had a bad day at work. Maybe they were intoxicated. It's a way to stay in a relationship, but it increases the risk. It's not a long-term strategy. It gets from one assaultive episode to the next. What about the power relation? A person can have power as principal of a school. The victim asks, who is going to believe me? Especially when it's like people of a high status, such as Diddy. When does the victim finally speak? In a safe environment or after psychological help? What type of language do victims use when they first speak of it? They minimize, they are a piecemeal. They remember the chipping paint on the ceiling. They remember the smell of alcohol on the perpetrator's breath. In other words, they try to dissociate so those things, those small things become very memorable. Now, somebody has said, this may sound boring or irrelevant to you. And they were pertaining to the testimony of the doctor. They said, this may sound boring or irrelevant to you, but it might be the small bit of information that helps you save a loved one who is being held captive in plain sight. So somebody might be able to use this. And then I saw somewhere else where they said, one of the things about domestic violence is that it is complicated and you should never minimize it. But sometimes the experts address it in a way that is inconsistent human experience. because people can rationally make decisions. Like listen to this. People can rationally make decisions that they know are bad for them. Like in politics, for example, people consistently vote against their self-interest. Or smoking, people continually smoke despite the warnings. Or drinking, people continually drink regardless of maybe getting a bad liver. Like getting silicone breast implants despite the warnings, etc., etc. It is a plausible, although unwise, that a victim can make a calculated, rational decision to endure the abuse because of the money, house, cars, fame, influence the victim is gaining from the abuser. And when Carrie Morgan, which was Cassie's friend, asked Cassie why she didn't leave, part of Cassie's answer mentioned money, car, house. Mm-hmm. That part is really true. So, moving right along. It was a sidebar and then cross-examination. It will be Jonathan Bach. Jonathan Bach. Now, Alexandra Shapiro's husband, only recently brought on as Diddy's 10th lawyer. 10th lawyer. He got 10 lawyers now. Okay. So Diddy's lawyer, Bach, says, your clients, you observed them closely. Their cognitive style? The doctor says yes. People don't fit into boxes, right? There are categories. But you have to listen to particular individuals, right? I'm not divorced from my training. When you do forensic work, you want a lot of sources of information, right? If it's relevant, you look at police reports, witness reports, and the like, correct? Correct. You're familiar with malingering? I am. Diddy's attorney continued. People can fabricate emotional responses, correct? They can. And then a judge says, should we break here? And Diddy's judge tried to be funny. I don't have a good cliffhanger, judge. So then they took a break. So during the break, they brought in George Kaplan to invoke his Fifth Amendment, y'all. Right after self-incrimination, y'all. So one of the people who's going to be testifying after the expert witness will be George Kaplan. He invoked his Fifth Amendment, basically saying he refuses to answer certain questions. He did receive a subpoena, but they said he did not intend to answer on his Fifth Amendment grounds. And y'all, he also signed an immunity order. So on the break, they said, we need to call him in so he can sign this immunity thing. And the judge said, has he read it yet? And they said, no, read it first. So then Cassie's attorney says, the attorney says he read it. The judge said, I will sign the immunity order. So the judge signed the immunity order. And the government will seek to admit, and that was another exhibit, and which was the immunity. So then they went to break. Now, again, by the way, here's how someone summarized Dr. Hughes' direct exam testimony so far at that point. It's common for DV, domestic violence victims, to stay with their abusers. Psychological, sexual, emotional abuse, financial dependence are used to control victims. Delayed disclosure is a defense mechanism for abuse victims. And then after that, they came back to break. Cassie's attorney, Your Honor, we emailed you the exhibit over the break. Diddy's attorney, we object to it as hearsay. The statement, thank you, I feel from Diddy is ambiguous. He could be saying thanks for the advice. So the judge said, we'll pick it up after Dr. Hughes. Please get her back on the stand. So Dr. Hughes entered back, the jury entered back. Diddy's attorney, you are with the American Psychological Association, which says you should only render an opinion after an examination, right? The doctor says, where? Dr. Hughes said, this is a different role. Diddy's attorney says, you have not gathered information about this case, right? I am not rendering an opinion on any individual. There's someone named Cassie, but you don't know what she said, right? I don't. He trying to make sure that this doctor don't know shit about shit. Okay. Which I kind of find hard to believe. Like, when they be telling jurors, don't watch the news, don't read the newspaper, don't get on the phone, don't tell your friends what happened, don't be having doing any pillow talk, you know, when you're in bed with your partner. Man, anyway, Diddy's a lawyer continues. You're testified across the river in East District, New York. I can't talk. East District, New York, right? Dr. Hughes, right. And you say the same thing, even though the cases are different, correct? Dr. Hughes, it's to help the jurors understand. But it's their job to consider their case, right? Diddy's attorney, you don't publish data on the patients you have evaluated, do you? No, it's confidential. So I can't cross-check your experience, the basis of what you are saying, right? Diddy's attorney, people might go to a civil lawyer to make a little money, right? Cassie's attorney, objection. Judge, let's move on. Come on, let's move on. Diddy's attorney, in civil litigation, you might look for malingering, right? You gave a webinar about giving expert testimony, witness testimony, right? The doctor, yes, for battered women. Let me show you an exhibit. The judge says sidebar. During the sidebar, that's the picture I already showed y'all. They showed that picture right there. During the sidebar. The other one had the high heels in it. This one does not have the high heels in it. So this is the picture that they put into the exhibit. And this was exhibit 18-261. So the judge says, jurors, we're going to send you to the jury room for a bit. All rise. The jurors leave. The judge. Yesterday, Ms. Shapiro submitted an export ex parte. Now reviewing a document, what should I focus on? The attorney for Cassie said, it shouldn't show this witness has a bias. And again, can somebody please tell me what the rubber ducky in the left has to do with the lube and the baby oil? I am so gagged over this shit. That's a lot of fucking lube and baby oil. Like, he had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bottles of that shit. So then the judge says she can be shown the document about training domestic violence advocates and asks if she remembers. But I won't admit it as evidence until she denied it and it becomes prior inconsistent statement. So the witnesses re-enter, then the jury re-enter. Diddy's attorney continues. Does this document refresh your recollection? Dr. Hughes, let me look at it more closely. Yes. Bob, the fourth part is about navigating cross-examination, right? Yes. Most of your income comes from court-related work, right? No, maybe half. You raised your rate to $600 an hour? It's been the same for some time, but you raised it? The doctor says, commensurate with others. So then Diddy's attorney says, you've been retained hundreds of times, but you've never come into court and testified in defense of a man accused of a sex crime, right? That's correct. I don't evaluate offenders. So that right there is basically saying that most of the cases, well, all of the cases that she dealt with, she's never had to defend a man. And then she said, I don't evaluate offenders. So has all of her cases been males as the defenders? I mean, the offenders? She's been in court. Y'all hear this? She's been in court hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, but she's never evaluated a male offender. Ain't that a lot? See, that's where they're going to try to say she's biased, and that's where they're trying to make the jurors think that she's biased and that she's for the prosecution. Like she's automatically for the prosecution. Why bring her in? She's never brought in to evaluate an offender who is a male. Anyway, Diddy's attorney. You met with the prosecutor 6 times to prepare your testimony, right? Correct. Cassie's attorney. Can we have a sidebar? Judge, you may. Then they come back. Diddy's attorney. Did you discuss the topics with the prosecutors? The doctor. With all due respect, it was mostly me educating them. The attorney. But you know nothing about the case. Were you advising them on how to present evidence in domestic violence cases? Diddy's attorney. Did you help them write briefs? Cassie's attorney. Can we have another sidebar, Judge? The judge. Yes, but keep it brief, shorter than the last one. Cassie's judge. Okay. Cassie's attorney. You've reviewed some filings to the court in this case. It was all related to the subject of your expert testimony, right? And the doctor says yes. Cassie's attorney. In fact, we redacted. The doctor says you did. You are a board of certified forensic psychologists, right? The doctor. Yes. How many of those are there in New York State? I think about 40. So the judge says, sorry that it wasn't shorter. So then Cassie's attorney, you reviewed some filings to the court in this case. It was all related to the subject of your expert testimony, right? The doctor, correct. In fact, we redacted. Yeah, you did. Oh, okay. I already read that. Sorry. I think about 40. Okay, here we go. You are a board certified forensic scientist, right? Yes. How many of those are there in the New York State? I think about 40. Recross, Diddy's attorney come back. Your defense work is almost entirely for victims of domestic violence, right? The doctor, I'm not sure that's true. You work with Mr. Brian Steele, who is defending a woman charged with reacting to domestic violence, right? Yes. And Mr. Steele decided not to use you after meeting with you. The judge, move on. Diddy's attorney, no further questions. Next witness, the government calls for George Kaplan. Now, remember, George Kaplan, he wanted immunity. And I'm pretty sure several of the other ones is probably going to ask for immunity too. They talking about 40 witnesses, right? We're not even nowhere halfway through. And also, he wanted to invoke his Fifth Amendment to not answer certain questions. So, again, he signed the immunity. They added it into the exhibits. Now, so Cassie's attorney is up first. When did you work with Diddy's enterprise? Kaplan, 2013 to 2015. What fell under the holding company? Clothing, liquor, entertainment. I was an executive assistant to the chief operating officer. Where did you work? 1710 Broadway, New York City. What was your next position? Executive assistant to the chairman, Diddy, from September 2004 to September 2015. And who did you report to? Mr. Karam, Mrs. Karam, or KK. Remember we talked about KK the other day. So they basically compared her to Ghislaine Maxwell. But she was like Diddy's top assistant. And that was the one who they said always was trying to throw people under the bus so she could always stay in Diddy's good graces and remain number one at the top. But anyway, Kaplan says she essentially ran Diddy's life. Where did you report? LA. What did you do? Carried his bags, made sure things were where he wanted them. As he trusted me more, he had me around more. I set up hotel rooms. How many hours a week? 80 to 100 hours a week. How much did you get paid? $125,000 a year to start. What did you do in the morning? Make sure everything was in the bathroom. The breakfast cooked. He was recording a mixtape, so we worked late. Who was security? Uncle Paulie, D-Rock, and Ruben. Later, licensed security in the second half of 2015. How frequently did you communicate with Diddy? Multiple times a day. Things could be found in the back. An iPad, drugs, whatever. Did he threaten you? He did threaten my job. How often? Maybe monthly. He said he was only to be surrounded by the best people and that he wasn't. For example, He sent me for 1 liter of water and I came back with 2 half liters. He said no. To say he was a monster is saying at the very least. And I know some of y'all and I and others have called him a monster. He went to get a 1 liter bottle of water. And the guy came back with 2 half liters. Why? I'm assuming. Have you ever ordered? I'm asking y'all this. Have y'all ever ordered from a grocery store and had a delivery and they didn't have a 2 liter of pop? So they substitute with 2 1 liters or something like that. So I'm assuming the guy couldn't find a 1 liter of water in that particular brand that maybe Diddy wanted. And so he brought back 2 half liters thinking he should be okay. It's still a liter, right? Anyway, Cassie's attorney, how did you travel? On his jet or going in advice to make sure it's all set up? How did you set up hotels? There was a bag. I unpacked it. Clothes, candle, Astroglide, baby oil. Who bought this? Often me. In what cities did you set up hotel rooms? LA, New York, and Miami. In LA, Mr. C, Bel Air, the Intercontinental. That's where Cassie got her butt whipped in the hallway, right? Cassie attorney said in New York, Trump by Columbus Circle, in Miami. They were all over the place, right? Cassie's attorney, how was it booked? Frank Black, based on Biggie's Frank White. Ain't that some shit? Diddy went by Frank Black every time he booked a hotel. Would you clean up rooms? Yes. Bottles of baby oil, Gatorade, once brown crystallized powder on the counter of the bathroom seat. Why did you clean up? Why not the hotel staff? It was implied, protect his public image. I was keen on doing that. Explain. Objection from Diddy's attorney. Overruled by the judge. So, Kaplan continues. I found hotels would sell photos to newspapers to shame guests. Child, you know they will. You know they will. But the attorney said, did he reach out to you from the room? Yes, for food, clothes, sometimes drugs, and I did it. What drugs? Doc kit. Illegal drugs? Diddy's attorney. I object to the term illegal. What you mean this is me. What do you mean you object to the term illegal? Like, anyway, the Cassie's attorney said, what are the drugs? He has to specify the drugs. Advil, ketamine, whatever he asked for. Yes, I picked up drugs for him. MDMA, which again is like the mollies. Ecstasy. Who asked? Diddy in LA and Miami. Then he continues, the ex-employee. In Miami, Diddy asked me to call a person. He came and gave me a bag of pills, which was the Molly ecstasy. I gave him cash. I gave the pills to Diddy. And in LA, yep, I went out and met the person in Hollywood. I gave him money. He gave me a bag. And then, listen. They said, Diddy's attorney says, the preferred email chain is about Gina. This is where it was a little break there. Hold up. Okay, so the judge has said after that, and we're going to probably pick up with him. You guys, we'll probably pick up with him because he wasn't on the stand too long and they was getting into the nitty gritty, right? They was getting into the drugs. So we're probably going to pick up with him. But what they saying after the judge said we'll break for the day, they said Diddy's attorney said the preferred email chain is about Gina and Gina is out of the case. She's not coming. Do y'all know who Gina is? I'll let y'all know if y'all don't. But then Cassie's attorney said, but she's in the indictment. Diddy's attorney, they could get her here and they're choosing not to. I'll submit a letter by 10 p.m. in the docket. Let me tell y'all, just in case y'all don't know, Gina, basically, she was the one that Diddy was messing around with when he was still with Cassie. Now, a few people have testified that Cassie really, really, really didn't like her. She was jealous of her. But Cassie's best friend even said that Cassie had big problems with that girl. And they think that she might have even been pregnant. They even called her a little girl on the stand. And they asked her, why do you call her a little girl? And they said, because she was much younger than us. So he got Cassie when she was very, very young, 19. And I guess this other chick was very, very young as well. But Cassie's best friend Morgan told the court Monday, which was 2 days ago, that Gina was a big problem for Cassie. And she wouldn't go away. What the bestie said was Diddy had a full-on relationship with this little girl. And Cassie found out about it. It went on for a really long time. And I'm sure she got pregnant, that Gina girl. They said she got pregnant twice. Allegedly. But yeah, Gina, she previously claimed that after she got pregnant with Diddy's child, he offered to pay her $50,000 to get an abortion. This is why this girl, who is a lady now, but this is why, well, she was always a lady. She was just a young lady. But this is why she was in the indictment. Because I think this probably proves some more coercion. But anyway, he offered to pay her $50,000 to get an abortion, but she refused the payment. She said, I turned the money down because I just loved him. I wanted to, like prove to him, that I loved him. I wasn't the girl, that wanted him for money. I just cared about him. I just wanted him to be nice to me. That's it. And then Gina also claimed she had a second abortion from her relationship with Diddy. So that's the Gina. But yeah, she dated Diddy for 5 years. Dated him for 5 years. And he was allegedly abusive to her as well. So we shall see. I don't know if they're going to be able to get her. I don't know if they're going to be able to get her on the stand, to get her in court, because she was in the indictment. How can you just get out of the indictment? Like the thing that just happened with Kaplan, he signed an immunity deal. He invoked his Fifth Amendment. So I don't know how she can possibly. I don't know. I'm not no expert. The only time I had any dealings with like law classes or anything like that was in college. That was years ago. I took law 1 and 2. And whatever I learned back then, half the shit I can't even remember. Shit. But yeah, so Gina did date Diddy while he was still with Cassie. And they said that around that time, that was one of the things that broke the camel's back. That stopped her totally from messing around with Diddy, as far as Cassie. But, yep. So, anyway, we shall see, y'all. But again, Kid Cudi is supposed to take the stand tomorrow. Allegedly. That's what they're saying. He was supposed to take the stand today, but he didn't. So, hopefully, he'll take the stand tomorrow because, again, I am interested to hear what Cudi has got to say. Especially about his relationship with Cassie and how Diddy was really, they say he was furious about their relationship to the point where he allegedly set his car on fire. And they said that Diddy had promised to bomb his car. So, yeah, we should, You said I've heard the name, but didn't know her. It's a lot of names that's coming out that I didn't know about. A lot of people. We see these celebrities and we hear about them, but we don't know all the ins and out of all their relationships, everybody they sleeping with, all their baby daddies, baby mamas. We don't be knowing all that shit until like something gets exposed. Or if they just come out right, just like people didn't know that he was fucking around with Cassie for years before they even went public with it. And like I said, and like, other people say, when he got with her when she was 19, she was new. She had just recorded Me and You. He grabbed hold of her, brought her to Bad Boy, and made her a bad girl. A nasty, nasty girl. Don't mean a thing. Oh, you nasty girl. You said I'm definitely not a legal eagle. Child, I am not no legal eagle. That's why I'm not even going to sit up here. When I tell y'all, I said this before, but let me say it again for the people in the back. I am no legal expert at all. So when I'm bringing y'all information, I'm literally bringing it from either the press or attorneys or witnesses. I'm just giving a review and I'm doing commentary and adding my little commentary in between what I'm bringing y'all. So don't try to take me for court for anything. Don't, if what I'm saying is not accurate, I'm getting it from other people. The press, witnesses, attorneys. That's where I'm getting my information. Now, somebody told me the other day, oh, you need to go watch this YouTuber. Or, oh, you need to go watch this YouTuber. Yeah, I watch YouTubers. But when I'm reviewing shit, if you watch me long enough, I've been reviewing court cases, TV shows, movies, anything you name it for years. One thing I don't do, even if it's a TV show, even if it's Power, I don't watch other people reviews. I don't. I like to be authentic with my point of views, with my opinions, because I feel like when you watching other people's shit, especially before you do your own commentary, it can kind of, I don't know, you can kind of like, I done heard people say that certain YouTubers sound like other YouTubers. Or certain YouTubers be repeating what other YouTubers say. I've never done that. What I give you is my own notes, on my own head, on my own thoughts. When I do like my TV show reviews and things like that, I don't watch nobody who reviews anything. If I watch anything, it's the news, it's words from the press, articles, things like that. When I do my reviews. And of course, if I'm doing a TV show or something like that, I watch the show sometimes several times to make sure I don't miss anything. And then I take down my notes and I come up here and tell y'all how I feel about it. But yeah, so that's one thing. Somebody, and I wasn't offended, but I don't know why they told me to watch this other person, but probably because they had other information. But the thing is about me as well, I don't always want to feel like I'm repeating what somebody else said. I go out there and do my own research. If it's something out there that I didn't get, hopefully I'll get it the next time or the next day. If it's some information that I didn't get from my sources. But one thing I don't like to do is repeat, because a lot of times people, when it comes to bloggers and YouTubers, y'all, I ain't gonna hold y'all. Y'all can say I'm lying if I'm not. But sometimes they be out there and they be talking stuff that ain't been said, that they ain't seen, that they ain't heard. They just doing it for clicks and views, shit like that. So yeah, I don't want to be caught repeating some bullshit that I heard from another blogger or YouTuber, especially when it's something like this, a trial, a high profile trial. So yeah, all my information that I'm presenting to you is from the attorneys, the press, the statements from court, the transcripts, the news, things like that. I'm not getting any of my information from other bloggers or YouTubers or anything like that. So again, I like to be authentic with my thoughts and my opinions and, my notes and all that kind of shit. But yes, Mel, you got it, baby. You got it, baby. In other words, don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, so that's all we got right there, y'all. That's for now. tomorrow, Kaplan is going to be back on the stand. I'm sure they're going to pick up with him. Kid Cudi is also going to be on the stand. They said 5 people. I don't know who the other 3 are supposed to be. That girl Gina, I don't know if they're going to force her to come to trial or what. I don't know. So I don't know. But anyway, you guys, please, if you did not do it already, please make sure you like and share the video on your way out. The people who be watching the replay, shout out to the replay gang, because y'all do be replaying, okay? So shout out to the replay gang. Please make sure you like and share the video on the replay as well. Thank you so very much. And if you happen to be new here, shout out to all my newest subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. Shout out to my day ones like Mel. Shout out to Miss Ray. Like all my day ones. Noble. Shout out to Noble. He's a big supporter. Very Carrie, Detached, Sugar Mama. All the newer faces that I've been seeing in the chats too. Passy B. Some of y'all have probably been around and I might not see y'all as often, or y'all might just be new here. Like Dan Anderson. I'm not used to seeing that name a lot over here either. But regardless, if you're new, if you're my day ones, my tried and true supporters, I appreciate all of you guys so very much. And again, if you want to donate to the commentary, all you have to do is send a cash app to $ the hood table 402, or you can send a super chat. Please and thank you very much. And on that note, you guys, stay safe, be blessed, remain vigilant at all times, and always remember to keep it hood. I'm out. Bye.